Hello, this is Megan.
And this is Mark.
Welcome to our 30th video of the Star Wars Galaxy's Edge construction at Disneyland. Today is September 1st, 2018.
We're located at the top of Tarzan's treehouse, and from here we can see that more mesh forms have been added to create more rock work. I'll go ahead and zoom in. We'll look at the official Galaxy's Edge model to see what this will eventually look like. Next, we'll go to Tom Sawyer Island to see what has changed from that perspective. From here, we can see some rock work in the distance. Notice that more vegetation has been added to the rock formations. Let's get a closer look. Back in July, we saw some workers add vegetation to the rocks. Let's go ahead and take a trip down memory lane. Next, if we go back to what it looked like in April, we can see that less color and detail were on the rocks. I'll dissolve the picture back to what it looks like today. Now we're on the Disneyland Railroad, and we'll look behind us. We can see that the cave area has more color added to it since we saw it last. We'll watch it in slow motion. I'll pause the picture right here. We can see the top portion of the cave opening. We'll go ahead and view this area on the model. Now we'll go ahead and observe a split screen of this area, comparing what we're seeing today to what it looked like back in July. The main difference in these two pictures is the change of color of the rock formations. And here's a different angle. From these pictures, you can definitely see the difference in the amount of trees that have been brought in. It is really coming along. Next, we'll visit Chippendale's treehouse to see the development of Black Spire Outpost. Notice this dome in the distance. White PVC membrane sheets have been installed on the top surface of the dome. The advantage of having these PVC sheets installed is that they have a high resistance to moisture, fire, and chemicals. So basically, it'll help protect the building. Alright, as a recap, let's look at the model to see what the final look of the structure will be. I believe the structure is going to be the location of the Podracer quick service restaurant. And here's concept art that Disney released of the restaurant. In the middle of the picture, you can see an engine of a Podracer. It'll be interesting to see what the function of it will be. Or will it be just for the decor? I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Now if we look to the right a little bit, we can see a green protective coating that has been added to the wall sheathing of the Cantina. Also, they're in the process of putting a black weather-resistant barrier overlay. Between these arrows is the cylindrical side structure of the Cantina. We'll go ahead and view the final look of the structure on the model. And what's really cool, recently on the Disney Parks blog, Imagineer Scott Trowbridge announced the official name of the Cantina. It'll be called Oga's Cantina. The Cantina will be run by an alien proprietor named Oga Gara. Also on this blog, new concept art of the inside of the Cantina was released. We'll look at that next. The Cantina is themed amazingly well. And if you look closely, you can see RX-24, also known as Captain Rex from Star Tours, in the background. You can just imagine the magic and interaction that he'll provide. The lighting alone in the Cantina looks great. If the lighting and actual look of the Cantina looks just like this, it'll be really awesome. Also, it looks like there's going to be a lot of walk-around characters and a lot of interaction. I can tell. It's going to be incredible. Alright, now this is what the side structure of the Cantina looked like last week. I'll dissolve the picture back to what it looks like today.
Today is September 6th, 2018.
Workers are in the process of adding concrete to the mesh forms. Now the workers are using hand trowels to spread the concrete evenly over the forms. Alright, here we are in Critter Country, and we're watching a worker perform detailed patchwork where a horizontal beam was removed from the spire. Notice that this worker is also using a hand trowel to put shape to the concrete. Now a brush is being used to add texture. If we look to the left a little bit, workers are in the process of adding more vegetation to the rock formations. Now we're taking a trip on the Mark Twain Riverboat. We can see the rock formations in the distance. Here we have a good view of the tallest spire, the tallest point in Galaxy's Edge. Now we'll compare the height of this spire to the height of the Matterhorn. This tallest spire in Galaxy's Edge is 130 feet tall, and the Matterhorn, which is the highest point in Disneyland, stands 147 feet tall. However, this spire in Galaxy's Edge will be the second highest point in Disneyland. Disney is known to use forced perspective, and I can just imagine what this spire will look like when standing directly below it. It'll look really impressive. I love the color and texture of the spire. Disney is definitely going all out. The detail is amazing. Now we're located on Donald's Boat in Mickey's Toontown. And from here we can see that a new rock spire is being made. A worker is welding the forms together. If we look a little farther to the left, workers are in the process of removing horizontal beams that were used for the scaffolding. Since they don't need them anymore, they're being cut off. Next, we'll go to Chippendales to view Black Spire Outpost. It's amazing how many domes have been added already, with more to come. We'll pan left to right to look at all of them. Alright, from here we can see a worker adding a protective coating to the framework for one of the rock spires. This coating will provide corrosion protection so the steel doesn't oxidize to produce rust. Next, we'll go back to the Mickey and Friends parking structure. Workers are in the process of adding mesh to this beam structure. Here on the model, we can see where the spire will be located compared to everything else. Mesh is being welded together. And here a crane is lifting another mesh piece. Now it's being put into place. Next is being welded to adjacent mesh. Looking over in this direction, we can see where a small rock spire is being made. It's really cool. If we go to the model, we can actually see the spire. It is amazing how detailed this model is, all the way down to the smallest spire. That is really awesome. Here we can see that a worker is adding color to a top of a structure. I'll zoom in. Different shades of gray is being added to give it a more aged look to the surface. As you can see, it's really looking nice. We'll continue watching for a little bit.
Today's September 15th, 2018.
It's early in the morning and workers are getting ready to attach a crane cable to the top of this spire framework. They're attaching a cable sling to the crane hook. Part of the mesh is being cut to allow for the cable sling to enter the inner portion of the mesh. The cable sling is being attached to the top portion of the spire framework. Now the bottom portion of the framework is being detached from the base. This worker is using a cutting torch to separate the diagonal struts from the spire framework. After the framework is completely detached from the base and the struts, the framework is removed from the top of the building. Now the workers are in the process of removing the remaining diagonal struts. It's interesting that this spire framework was removed. It is possible that they decided this spire in this location serves little value. Or possibly it had to be removed so they can modify it in some way. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Next, we'll go on Big Thunder Mountain Railroad to view the developments of Black Spire Outpost. From here, we can see some amazing detail that has been added to a side structure. Let's get a closer look. It looks really nice. From this angle, we have a pretty good view of some of the finishing touches of the wall that's adjacent to where the Millennium Falcon attraction will be. I love the attention to detail, especially around the vents. The discoloration really makes it look like this area has been around for many years. It's a nice added touch. Here we can see the dome structure for the Podracer quick service restaurant. Notice on the top of the dome that a curved beam structure has been put in position. This is not going to be part of the building. It'll primarily be used for alignment. It will be placed in different locations on the top of the dome to make sure that everything is precisely aligned before the dome plates are put into position. Back in August, we actually saw one of these alignment beam structures on the pyramid-shaped building before the dome plates were put on top. And once the alignment was confirmed, the beam structure was removed to make way for the dome plates. They're making great progress. It is amazing how it's coming together. Well, that's a taste of things to come.
We can't wait to see what they build next.